Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to be taking a look at an article from Games Radar where Yoshi-P has some comments about the oversimplification of jobs in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, this comes as one of many interviews that came out of the recent Dawn Trail Media Tour, which of course was across all different places. There was one in Japan, NA, Europe, and I myself, of course, posted a ton of content from said event. But this is far from the first time that he's actually mentioned this. We've seen mention of this in live letters, one little slip talking about how 8.0 was going to be seeing a lot more individuality brought back to different jobs. And this one pushes the timeline up at least a little bit. So we're going to be taking a look at what he had to say here in this article. Remember to go to the description of the video, click on the original article, make sure you give it likes or interactions or whatever, because we are just kind of yoinking it for the sake of making a video. So the title of this article is very similar to things that we've seen already. Final Fantasy XIV's Yoshi-P says Dawn Trail will finally return, quote, more individuality, unquote, to the MMO's jobs, admitting we're not in a good situation for that after years of oversimplification. It seems like the more he's asked about it, the more he's pressed about it, the more he just kind of makes it seem a little bit more like it's almost urgent in a sense that they actually address this. Whereas in the live letter where he first mentioned adding more individuality, he's like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. We gotta wait. We gotta release 7.0 first. We gotta do all that before we worry about anything else. So this article focuses entirely on that. And it, of course, goes over the interview that Games Radar had with Yoshi-P himself. Now, he talks about things like the removal of Kaiten, which actually gets an interesting comment later, among many other things, though. You know, one Reddit poll asking players whether they're worried about Dawn Trail further contributing to the oversimplification of jobs, revealed that largely the community is indeed afraid. Yeah, I mean, Reddit's afraid. Let's be very clear about something. As much as we like to act like we're kind of the majority, those of us who make these videos and have these discussions, we are such a minority. Like, I'm sure there are people that don't speak up that agree in a lot of capacity, but man, those of us who are vocal about this are such a minority. And I've realized that over the years, I've done like all sorts of like tweets and polls and stuff. And I'm always like, damn, I thought I knew, but I didn't. All right. So moving on, you know, various changes made to Astrologian card systems, DPS class ability nerfs. They don't think it's possible to make jobs any simpler than they are. And Yoshi-P is aware of this. He promises that jobs like Samurai won't be simplified any further, explaining that he's still really torn about job tweaks like the removal of Kaiten. It's really funny to hear Yoshi-P be, I wonder if they're paraphrasing that. I want to know if Yoshi-P actually straight up said, I'm torn about removing Kaiten. Because Samurai mains be like, super excited upon hearing that. There were more people requesting Kaiten to be removed than there were people who were happy with it. Yeah, I mean, it was just an extra button to press, but for the really high-level people, it became a part of managing your resources. You know, it was less about, oh, useless buttons just to make things stronger. It was like, oh, well, now I have to factor this into my Shinten use and stuff like that. And that was the part that people found engaging who did like it. He continues describing that there's no answer for situations like that. There's always going to be some people that like more difficult stuff, some people who prefer simpler stuff. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much always going to be the problem with any online game. There's going to be people who want it one way and other people want it the other. And it's about kind of parsing between all of that and figuring out what it is that that you can do best. But Yoshi-P says he's concerned about the simplicity of jobs, just as a majority, again, majority of fans, I guarantee you we're not the majority. We're being really loud about it, but I guarantee you we're not the majority. So the devs want each player to be able to showcase one's own technique or expertise, but says that we're not in a good situation for that due to the job simplicity as it is right now. Yoshi-P then reveals that the team will remedy this as Dawn Trail and its future updates roll out, working towards a more fulfilling playing experience in patch 7.2 and beyond. We will look to the jobs and we will focus on providing more individuality to the jobs. Now, that comment right there, that's why I'm making this video. Because the moment I saw this quote go out, I saw a lot of people lock on 7.2. Before we heard 8.0, now it says 7.2. The timeline looks like it's moving up. And I felt like it was my duty to quell the fervent expectations of this statement immediately. Because I guarantee you, whatever you think they're going to do in 7.2, it is probably much lower impact than that. Remember when the Dragoon rework was put off from 6.1 to 7.0 and the Astra rework was put off from 6.1 to 7.0? in order to make it so that they could kind of release it along with other major job changes. But then they did the Paladin one in 7.3. I'm sorry, in 6.3. Did I say 6.1? And I don't even know. I'm at that point where Dawn Trail's so close, I just keep saying 7.x, and it's gonna keep happening, the 6.x, 7.x mix up. Either way, 6.3 Paladin rework. I am willing to bet that in 7.2, there is obviously something. There's probably going to be some job they already have in mind that could add a little bit more individuality, or maybe a certain subset of skills that they feel that they have simplified that prevent having that individuality that will be adjusted in that patch. What we're not going to see is sweeping gameplay and job rework so vast that 7.2 makes 7.0 look like it's absolutely pointless. And I'm only saying that because I've seen so many comments talking about how Dawn Trail now begins in 7.2 and everything's going to change in 7.2. And it very specifically states 7.2 and beyond. So what we can expect is in 7.2, 3, 4, and potentially 5, although that's very close to 8.0, so probably not going to see too much. You can realistically expect small additive changes that work towards their eventual goal in 8.0. And 8.0 is where we'll probably see massive changes to a number of jobs that give them more individuality. Now, the big question is, this seems to be talking largely about showing, as they say, showcasing one's own technique or experience. Dawn Trail, on the other hand, on its release, focused a lot about granting a lot more visual flavor to a similar playstyle. So it seems that even in 7.0, they wanted some visual individuality, or at least something a little bit more fun. You know, if you're going to do 3 atonements, might as well make it more exciting to look at. If you're going to do 3 blood spillers, might as well make it something more exciting to look at. If you're going to do 5 heat blasts, might as well make it something that's cooler to look at, especially given that that entire gameplay loop hasn't changed and isn't really changing for this expansion. So I'm just trying to get just lower the bar a little bit. It's just, don't be scared. Don't be overexcited. Just wait and take with it what we get. Now, we're likely not going to have to wait until 7.2 to get a better idea of what's happening here. Because after Dawn Trail releases, sometime after Dawn Trail releases, we will likely get a live letter talking about the scope of the patch updates for 7.x. Yoshi-P has already gone on record saying that after they do the 7.0 release and they do another live letter, they will do sort of like a roadmap for Dawn Trail. And we will likely get a better idea of anything they're going to do here. Not down to the detail, but additional comments about this when that actually occurs. Could we also get it from the upcoming live letter on June 14th? Absolutely. But it's just, I'm doing my due diligence here on this one, all right? I'm just doing what I got to do. And then, in an attempt to curb multiple updates worth of simplification, Yoshi-P details how Square Enix will be incorporating various changes post-Dawn Trail, some of which will be related to skill rotations. There it is, even some of which will be related to skill rotations. That means that 7.2 and onward is not likely to just be just job-related stuff. It's going to be stuff more along the lines of the shrinking of the hitbox, or maybe a mechanic that puts more stress on a specific role, or something like that. Something that slightly undoes something else they've done up to this point, but doesn't go full, just, you know, balls to the wall. And this is even reflected in that in the Italian interview and the quote from there, where he talks about how they don't want to make a lot of changes all at once. It's too chaotic. It's too much for the player base. So keeping the job simple for 7.0's launch and then adding a little bit of stress back with things like the smaller hitboxes, a better approach to just ripping everything and starting all over all at once. So I expect that that's kind of the level of stuff we'll see here. He even jokes that Kaiten could return as Kaiten 2. But why would it return as a 2 when it could just return as is? Or maybe it would do something different. Reiterates his earlier promise, come such changes, classes will not be more simple. I doubt I'll ever see the intricate Astro card system from years past make a comeback. No. But I'm hopeful for others, as the director stresses how well he understands that a lot of players want to be able to think for themselves. I also like the link at the bottom, the other article. 14 devs made the Viper job because MMO communities want to feel like the Sword Art Online icon, but immediately ran into the problem of Kirito is kind of over. Someone who doesn't watch anime, it's so over my head, but I think I've got enough looking at Viper and seeing that to kind of get the idea. So yeah, more and more just coming out about kind of reversing some of the oversimplification that we've gotten going into Dawn Trail, and an important step given that this is the first part of the next 10 years of the game. And while we're already talking about more like the second part with this stuff, it's just getting the messaging out now is important, especially as all the job changes come out, as people start to look at the changes and figure out what they're going to be doing in raids or what needs to be changed when the game is out, you know, looking at the numbers and seeing what works, what doesn't, yada, yada, yada. All that's important. But while that's under a microscope, making comments like this is what gets people a little bit more motivated, a little bit more excited to do the work now, knowing they'll have a little bit more work to do later. But anyway, just wanted to provide a video on this article right here. Remember, it is in the description of the video, so go take a peek, go click on the original. And with that, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget, we're going to be doing all sorts of content for Dawn Trail. We've got the live letter coming. We've got State of the Realms. We've got, of course, guides and first clears and thoughts videos and everything you've come to expect from the channel over the years. Anyway, I will see you all in the next one. And until then, take care.